Hi, gorgeous seekers. Welcome to the Gemini new moon, moon magic. I'm in such a good mood right now. In fact, I really wanted to make sure that I was feeling fully in my best space for this moon because it's just a really beautiful, hopeful, bountiful, communicative, playful, bright, vibrant, bright new moon. The energy is so kind, gentle, hopeful. Just hope is the word that I would say applies to the Gemini new moon. And so I wanted to be in an amazing space, and I definitely am. I am just in such a happy place right now, for a lot of reasons. But let's talk about the Gemini new moon on June 13th. So I was actually thinking about this because one of the things with moon cycles is we have a full moon and then in one sign. For example, we had the Gemini full moon on December 3rd in 2017, and then we have the new moon about 6 months later, in the same sign of Gemini, right? And what happens with these bookending moons in the same sign is that you come full circle. You come to the other half of whatever you were looking at back in December. Now, this particular moon is always going to be really powerful. It's the new moon right before solstice energy. And solstice energy, northern, southern hemisphere, it doesn't matter, is powerful because it's another reflection of our cyclical world that we live on here. So it's got a lot of power to it. The Gemini full moon is the last full moon before, normally the last full moon before the solstice in the winter in December. And then the Gemini new moon is the last full new moon before the solstice in June. And that gives it kind of an extra poetic oomph. But I was looking back through my notes for the Gemini full moon that we had back in December 2017. And one of the phrases that really stuck out to me when I was looking at it was bone deep truth. I was talking about that moon was really going to have to be you sitting down and realizing what you had to let go of, what you had to adjust, what you had to change, and why it mattered that you did it. And there was really no way to get around that, right? It was closing out. And it was kind of heavy. And I mentioned to a few of the signs for the monthlies that this month you were going to look back at what you were doing in December and what you were releasing, and you were going to be revisiting it for the first time again in a different way in June. Now, maybe you're not revisiting it for the first time, but this is what I will say about this moon and what I really love about it. It's that nice thing where you understand what was closing out back in December. You understand why it left or why it shifted or why it changed or why you were changing or why you had to let it go or why you had to embrace something about your life that maybe was a little messy or a little bit intense. And now here in this June, you have this new moon that allows you to take in just how hopeful and beautiful what's coming in next is. And it's very much informed by what was addressed in December. I know a lot of people felt a closeout. A lot of people went through a lot of loss during that time, and the following months have been this integration process of kind of highs and lows, checking in. That's always going to be the process at some level. But there's something about this new moon that is where you are getting the illumination of truth, but it's illumination of truth in that you are excited for what is next and you're very open to it. There is such a playful bounty to it. And, it's so funny. Last night, I had this really powerful dream where I had the things coming to me that I've been asking for. They were all showing up. They were like already there, installed in my life. And I was feeling a little resistance to them. I was like really nervous about them coming in. And in the dream, I was just like, I don't know if this is right for me. And I had all these friends show up and say, Sarah, what are you doing? Just open the door and let this in. You know this is right for you, and that this does take courage, and that it does mean you have to show up, but you know how good this is going to be for you. And I think it has everything to do with this new moon. Sometimes opening ourselves up to the hope and to the possibility and possibly to connections with others, partnerships and job opportunities and travel opportunities and really good conversation. We are in Gemini after all, with the sun and the moon in Gemini, conversing, sharing ideas, getting intellectual, making plans, exchanging, right? It's all about the exchange and the intensity of that. Opening yourself up to that hope and that vibrancy is in and of itself sometimes a homework assignment. I don't want to say homework assignment, but we harden ourselves. We harden ourselves and we step back, and sometimes we don't want to take the action. Sometimes we don't want to show the heart. Sometimes we don't want to jump into the playfulness, but that's what this new moon is all about. It's conjunct with a whole bunch of positive fixed stars, so it's just got this star power energy to it. You can probably find the list of those stars. I don't want to go through all of them here. And that's a huge thing. Moons don't tend to have this. We're having the moon and the sun at 22 degrees of Gemini, kind of a, later placement in Gemini. And there's not a whole bunch of challenge here right now. We've got a lot of the earth energy, as you know. We have all that earth energy with Saturn, Uranus doing their thing, grounding down, getting us some of that infusion. So that's just kind of going on. We still have, Jupiter retrograde right now, but in Scorpio at 14 degrees, kind of trining and relaxing with Neptune in 16 degrees of Pisces. So that conversation is continuing to happen in the background of this, which I think is really beautiful, because, having that water energy there, it's very good for psychic understanding. It's very good for intuitive growth. And we've been having that conversation for a little while now, a number of months. And it's going to ongoing, but it's behind the moon there, right? The only other thing that we have as far as aspects is we have Pluto at 20 degrees of Capricorn, right? So it's a quincunx, which is when you have their 5 signs apart. So they're not trining, they're not sextiling, they're not opposing, but they're in this really interesting conversation, right? With the moon and the sun. And this is a 2 degree, Pluto's at 20 degrees of Capricorn, the sun and moon at 22, so it's not a super tight quincunx. And Pluto, likes to revolutionize things. He wants to take you underground and get you real, get you connected, get you focused before he sends you back up. He's been doing that in Capricorn, though, so nothing new there. I mean, what's way more powerful is where we're consciously putting and directing our energy this month, or this moon, because Gemini is all about the intellect. It's all about how we're using our intellectual faculties to get things moving. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and you think about Mercury and the messenger, the guy that can jump from every level, and he can jump from this layer of consciousness to that layer of consciousness. He can connect people from hundreds of miles apart, right? Like he could jump around. And of course, Gemini is often associated with your community, your close-knit neighborhood, short distance travel, short-term plans, like the quicker, faster energy, as compared to the opposite sign of Sagittarius, which is about the big world energy and the big constructs of identity and philosophy and all of that. Gemini is still very philosophical, though, and the way to utilize Gemini's energy in a positive and effective manner is really to get those ideas moving. Be conscious of how you're thinking about things. Be conscious of where you are utilizing your intellectual skills to hold yourself back from the things you really want to say and do. Be conscious of where you let your analytical mind take over and get in the way of inspired action, or get in the way of you moving on stuff. Now, this is movement energy too, though, right? It's air, it's communicative, and there is a call here to just kind of show up to the party of life. And I think, it's just that open invitation. New moons for me are always a nice, soft hand, extended out to you to invite you to the next energetic cycle. And like I said, this one's very poetic. We are about to hit the June solstice. We are about to open up a very big new energetic cycle. Quite honestly, there are a lot of things that have been building the first part of this year to get us really into a long-term energetic cycle. So listen into yourself, listen into your gut instinct with this, because if you're listening and you're relaxing and you're maybe even communicating with people, you're going to be noticing that you're going to hear and you're going to see and you're going to feel the things that are going to be a part of your life for a number of years moving forward, right? And, you know, you do have to listen in carefully with that. Don't spaz yourself out. Don't get too freaked out by that. You know, we're constantly creating, so there's nothing set in stone. You're not going to, if you have some vision on June 13th and then you change your mind in December, it's fine. But I will say this, you will find peace in what you have lost, and you will find more than that. It's not about peace. It's not about making peace with the past. We've been doing that. We've been doing that. This is an invitation to what's next. Are you going to show up or not? Are you going to put yourself out there and communicate it or not? You know? Are you going to play? Are you going to try it out? Or are you going to sit back? That's the question. Three of Pentacles popped up. What was I saying about communication? Three of Pentacles, 3 is this number of flow, right? It's a flow number. It's very sacred. It's about a cohesive whole, right? And the way that flows. It's communicative too. This is about sharing ideas and visions with those who you can share ideas and visions with. Like I said, those infusions of the vision. You know, the story going on here is this is a shared vision of what these people in the picture want to create together, and they get it, and they're together with it. So shared vision, like I said, for the long haul, the next number of years. That's coming up. There's good communication going on here. There's fun, and it's fun. And so pay attention to those conversations, those relationships where it's just fun. It's fulfilling. When you walk away from those conversations, you feel full. You feel at ease. You feel like you've indulged in a very rich and rewarding meal that was meaningful to you, right? That's where you want to focus your energy. Ace of Wands, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, 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 yes. This is a passionate time as well. There's energy starting to move into Leo. I'm not going to say anything about that, but energy is starting to shift over into Leo around this new moon, and that fiery energy. Ace of Wands. What is Ace of Wands all about? This is a very passionate energy. It's just, it is fire being ignited. A path, a vision, a journey, a quest being ignited from a very profound place. I mean, and if you look at that, think about the conversations you could have during this new moon that spark something new, a new beginning. A new beginning, a new chapter, a new undertaking is underway, and it is powerful. Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can already feel like I have goosebumps. I am so energized with this moon, and this is over a week before it's happening as I'm sitting here talking to you. But there is something really electric in the air right now, and there is something about components coming together. I think Gemini, you know, I've said it before, sometimes it makes me a little nervous because it's such high intensity movement focused energy, but there is something so cool about the way that Gemini energy gets things moving and gets things connected and on the road to working together and being together. And it's just, I can just feel it. It's cohering in a way that just makes sense. But, you know, here's the thing. Things don't cohere unless you show up to the table, right? If we all said, oh, I really want to be at that dinner, that really luscious dinner that's bringing in all this. I'm still shuffling for some more cards, by the way. That would be just so great to be at that dinner. I really want to be at that dinner. But I don't think I want to walk the mile, because that's the only way you could get there, let's say. I don't think I want to walk that 1 mile. I'm just gonna like wait and see what happens. This moon is kind of like, set your intentions. You know, new moons are all about planting the seeds, setting the Two of Pentacles. That's funny. Setting the intentions. Setting the intentions. Okay, so this is interesting. This is coming up actually. So we have a 3, a 1, and then a 2. And how funny. It's just, these are such classic numbers, and it's interesting that they're coming out this way, right? A 3, a 1, and a 2. So we have the flow, the idea exchange flow. We have the ignition spark, the singularity of it coming together and being very clear. And then we have the analysis, the balancing, the duality, the uncertainty, the fork in the road, the wonder, the nervousness, right? Gemini is a dual. Air signs are dualistic. They all involve an element of rebalancing. All of them. And Gemini, you know, is classically called, you know, they're the twins. People like to give Geminis a lot of crap. I don't personally, but it's funny. Two of Pentacles is very much Gemini energy. How you're thinking about this path. I mean, here's the thing. We get spooked by when things look like this. Especially in this moon, in this year, and the December full moon coming into the new moon this month. This kind of flow can feel a little bit like, okay, can I have it? And that's when the 2 comes in. There will be a temptation I'm seeing here and I'm feeling here to buy into the fear and the worry, and to be skeptical about your own value within it, if you're actually adding to it, and nervous to put your foot on that path, right? Nervous to put your foot on the path. Nervous to say yes, like my dream last night where everything was showing up and I was feeling, you know, I knew that this stuff was right for me and I was resisting it, and my friends were calling me out and telling me, what are you doing? Welcome it in, right? So relax. It's not all happening on the new moon. As I always say, like these things don't always all happen right the day that this is going exact, right? It's each moon, whether it's full, waning, waxing, new, it's inviting you, it's unfolding, it's complementing what's already going on. But these are just some of the themes you may be picking up on. You go on your little journey. 7 of Wands. I'm going to pull 5 cards tonight. So here's where the tension comes in, right? We have all that flow and then we have tension. So we have the uncertainty about, can I really allow myself on this path? Do I have the value to be a part of this? Am I allowed to step into this bigger role? Am I allowed to be in this relationship, be in this leadership role, be in this new space, say no to things that aren't serving me anymore, right? Like, do I have the value to do that? 7 of Wands is a challenge. It is a challenge. It is the kind of challenge that makes me think of Aries or Leo or Sagittarius. It's fire energy. But this is saying, you know what? You got to get up and you've got to be the guy on higher ground that is going out there and doing it. And it won't always feel comfortable. It won't always feel like you are just sitting back in some comfortable zone. I mean, the thing with 7 of Wands is it's actually a positive card. You're doing things. You're making things happen. But getting up in that spotlight puts some heat on you, right? There's some heat. There's some intensity. There's some asking of you to experience some of that heat. And also, the other thing to think about with this is you want to experience positive heat, right? You want to experience heat that's like from a warm hearth, not from something burning down in a cataclysmic event, right? So anything that's making you feel torn or shattered, anything that's coming back from the December full moon that didn't feel good, it's okay to let that rest as well. You don't have to show up to every dinner party. If it's a dinner party where they're serving something that you do not like, you don't have to go, right? I'm going to pull one last card. I'm very curious to see what it is because we have so much about flow and passion and ignition and so much about uncertainty. There's the dynamic of Gemini, right? Gemini wants to plumb the depths of each option. So let's look at the option where it's really positive and it's really good and it's really easy. And then let's look at the option where it's scary and maybe it's difficult, right? Which one's which? Don't let that get to you too much. You have to stay a little intuitive. And that is one thing I will say with all this air energy, with all this Gemini energy. Make sure you stick with your intuitive sense. The moon is all about intuition. The sun is all about playfulness. They're hanging out together. So you want to use intuition and playfulness to show up at the dinner that you want to be at. That's the other part of this, right? But there is kind of a challenge here too, to say, hey, if you want this life, if you want this experience, there is a moment at which you have to step on the path and show up. There is that moment, and it's part of the thrill of life. You know, sometimes the thrill of life is sitting back and relaxing and watching things unfold and taking a deep breath. And sometimes the thrill of life is getting right up in there, being on that stage and knowing that it's a risk. It lights you up. It's an element of surprise. It's an element of excitement. It's an element of creativity. Creativity is about creating something from nothing. Showing up is creating something from nothing. 9 of Pentacles. How does it turn out in the end? 9 of Pentacles. I guarantee you, if you take the risk and you show up in that heated spotlight with all this fuel the Gemini moon is bringing, you are going to feel richer than you've ever felt before. And I don't mean about money. I mean about mental space here. I mean about value. You're going to end up in spaces with people and conversations that make you feel wealthy. The way I feel the 9 of Pentacles right now too is it's that wealth of seeing the possibilities of the next couple of years, seeing the expansiveness of what could happen next and how amazing that is. So, with that, my lovelies, I'm going to close this out. I'm getting lost up in the clouds with all this energy, thinking about this moon, because it's just really, really powerful. And even I've been kind of reticent to show up to some things. I've been nervous. And even I'm getting called out here to start opening these doors. And like I said, I had that dream just last night that's really inspired this video as well. It's just some amazing conversations I've been having. Very helpful, and it's like a preview for me of what this new moon is going to be. I'm so excited. I love you guys so much. Check me out on Instagram at the SARAHTAROT. I love seeing you guys over there. We have so much fun. I'll also leave my website and my email below. Get in touch with me. Setting up readings for July right now. So you're going to want to get in on that, because August I'm going to be running around traveling a bit, and this is your chance to get in on the fun that we're going to have in July, pre-Leo season. Also, as usual, I got my gorgeous PinkLune on, hooking me up with all the most beautiful, ethically sourced, handmade, high-quality materials you can ask for. I'll leave her Etsy shop below with a little discount code for you guys. And I will see you guys on the next Moon Magic and in the monthlies and on this journey. I'm so excited. I hope this moon treats you like the precious being you are and uplifts you and gives you hope for what is possible.